Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 102, where I was black here. My opponent kicked off with d4, and I got a chance to play the Winawer gambit, which is, I've been looking for an opportunity to do this. I actually added this recently to my over-the-board repertoire, and I've gotten good positions out of the opening with it. So it starts off with the Slav defense. And then the most common move here is knight f3, which actually prevents the Winawer gambit. But if you play knight c3, which is increasingly common these days, you can strike out right away with the move e5, and that's the Winawer gambit. So the most common move is just to take right away. But if there's an exchange first on d5, that's okay. You get kind of the same, a very similar kind of opening. And then e3 is a way to decline it. Yeah, I won't bother to show the d takes e5 line. Basically, you do the same thing, whether he exchanges here or not. So he plays d takes e5 here. Now there's a counter gambit where he can play e4 here, which is kind of interesting too. But I don't know too much about that. Almost everybody takes it, in my experience. And then the idea with the gambit is you push ahead with d4. And after you dislodge this knight, you've got a check with the queen that rounds up this pawn. So the knight goes to e4, the most common move, and then queen a5 check. A bishop f5 can be played. That's turning it into a real gambit where you're not trying to win back the pawn. You're just trying to dislodge. You're just trying to disrupt white's development and get quick development of your own. But queen a5 check is probably the best move here. Yeah, computer prefers it over bishop f5. Let's see. Oh, it has other ideas. Knight c6. Okay, there's other ways of rounding up the pawn. Knight c6 and queen to d5. Okay. Anyway, yeah, this is the move I know. And then that's pretty much the end of the opening book. So let's just look at it with the notation tab. Now there's two defenses here. One is bishop d2 and the other is knight d2. And bishop d2, chasing the queen, allows you to grab the pawn. Knight d2. Actually, that allows you to grab the pawn as well. I was thinking there he had a way of protecting that pawn, but I guess, yes, you can round that up in any case. Although after knight d2, you can also play knight c6. But bishop d2 seems to be the most common response, and you grab the pawn. And then knight g3, yeah, the knight was under attack, and that's a good square. And if you look at it, the black has completely equalized with this opening, so it's kind of an interesting way to get a decent game with black, playing the Slav defense. Plus you have an open position with lots of tactical possibilities. And you'll see that very quickly white goes astray. And it's embarrassing the way this game turned out because they had several opportunities just to win the game outright. So, but first off, get some development in. The queen can go back to d5 or d6. It looks like b5 and c7 are not so good, probably because they lose tempos. Yeah, that's what I thought. b5, and he can push the e-pawn, or c7, he can develop the rook with tempo. So probably better on the d file. And then queen a4 check just encourages me to develop some more. Castle queenside, probably a mistake, although I didn't find the best way to capitalize on it. Bishop d7 still leaves black with some advantage, but it looks like queen c5 check, most precise way to play this. What I didn't appreciate is that queen c5 check supports the move b5, and you can use that to kick the queen. So that would be an interesting way to play. Right now he's threatening to win back this pawn and regain an advantage. Bishop d7, you know, with a masked threat on the queen is still a good move here. And then after bishop g5, which was actually a mistake, I can sort of put the game away with this move knight b4. And for some reason, I guess I either did not consider knight b4 in this position, or I considered it in a different position where I didn't think it was as good. In any case, I completely miscalculated this. I either ignored it or miscalculated it. I don't know which. So, but if you play knight b4, the queen's under attack, and then where's it really going? It's got one square here, and then it's got one square here, and or it could go to a3. So what does the computer recommend? The computer recommends going to b3 or to a5. but b3 slightly better. Okay, then you can throw in this check. And now if the king goes to b1, you have bishop e6 attacking the queen again. I guess you can, king goes to d2, you could probably do that as well. Queen a5, setting up a discovered threat. It just looks like things are in pretty dire straits here for white. Well, let's pick one of these lines. Say king b1. That's the most natural looking move to me, just getting the king out of trouble. Bishop e6, attacking the queen. So now the queen can throw in this check again. And now you have b5. Yeah, that's what I didn't appreciate, with the queen on c5 supporting this b5 move. And now what happens if the queen moves? Queen takes b4. So queen out of moves. How about queen to a4? Isn't this a move? Then there's a mate in 3 starting with queen c2 check. Okay, so that's pretty dire. So anyway, there's a lot of nasty threats in this position, starting with knight b4. I played rook c8, which still leaves black with an advantage. So, I mean, you've got to mark this up as a real opening success for this gambit, even though the result of the game might indicate otherwise. Keep in mind, this is a very interesting way to play. And it's not a high-risk gambit where you're giving up a lot of material. You actually round up the pawn, plus you get open positions and lots of ways for your opponent to go wrong. So he gets his king out of harm's way. You know, I just put the rook on the c file, and I was threatening and discovered check that would also win the queen. I play bishop e7, and what's the way to keep the advantage? Knight to g4. Yeah, I figured out. I just was a little bit slow in this game. I kept finding the move with a time delay of about one move. So every move I would think about one move too late. So I eventually play knight g4, but maybe 2 moves too late. So knight g4 here is good, hitting this c2 pawn, which would fork the 2 rooks. And it's at a point where I still have the pawn on d4, which prevents the well, I guess it doesn't prevent bishop e6. So let's check this out. Knight g4. Can he play bishop to e6 to protect it, taking advantage of this pinned pawn? And well, then knight b4 again, taking advantage of the queen being somewhat awkwardly placed here. Queen b3, queen g6 check. Yeah, there's a check when the king goes to the corner. There's a knight check here. Rook d3. And d takes e3. So I unpin with check and then grab the bishop. So the bishop cannot defend on e6. So after knight g4, his best move is rook c1. Okay, getting on the c file. And then, if nothing better, I can pick up this pawn on c2. But it looks like it's even better to play queen g6 first. Oh, knight takes f2 is a good move too. Just go ahead and grab that pawn. So anyway, you can see that this is a good position for black once again. But I have to find the right move. Okay, so I played bishop e7, and he took on d4. Maybe not the best move. How does white stay out of trouble here? White stays out of trouble by playing e4. And I've seen that in other instances of the Winawer gambit. If you happen to find yourself in this position as white, not this exact position, but playing against the Winawer, it's often an idea to play the move e3 to counteract this strong pawn on d4 and just try and round it up or trade it off. Okay. But he played knight takes d4, and then I went knight to g4 here. Yeah, so a move later than when it would have been a good move one move before. Here, the computer likes going back to this queen c5 plan, just getting out of the discovered attack from the rook there. Okay, so now knight d takes f5. Knight d to f5 would have been a good move here. Hitting my queen, supporting his knight, attacking the g7 pawn. Yeah, that would have been a good move. And bishop takes f5, and knight takes f5, and then queen has to move. Queen to b4. Yeah, but the knight on f5 is pretty strong. So that would be the way for white to get an advantage at this point. His knight takes c6, and now once again I can, well, the best move, I have an advantage because I played queen takes c6, the second choice here, but I could have played queen to g6 check, just getting out from the glare of the rook, and then I could retake the knight with my bishop if I wanted to. So that would be a better way to play. Better square for the bishop, better square for the queen. I play here, and now he could just trade off, which he does. And this still leaves me with an advantage. We go into this sort of in-game position, and I just have better pieces, and it seems like his extra pawn is just not worth anything. It's kind of interesting. So Engine is recommending f3, knight f2, forking these two rooks. I guess that's it. It's the tactical threats. It's not just the pieces, it's the activity. So the threat of knight f2 is a strong threat here. He plays bishop e3, but that leaves him in an awkward position after taking, which you see was also the good move. I found the good move that time. He's got weak doubled pawns. He has an extra pawn, but I have the bishop pair, and so I'm just better here. So I castle, which is okay, and play bishop g5. And now, it's crazy. This is another case where I saw the move, one move too late. Of course, I can play bishop e5 check here. It's just a simple fork. You know, bishop there forks these two pieces and just picks up a piece. Bishop e4, rather. Crazy that I didn't see that. Okay, so I kick the knight. He kicks my bishop. And I can still play bishop e4 check. But I move my bishop away, and now he moves his knight. And here, even here, it's better to play bishop e4 check because it allows me to keep the bishop pair. I grab the pawn first, and he grabs my bishop. Oh, he attacks my bishop, but then he grabs the bishop on c6. So at any time, I could have played bishop e4 check and preserved the bishop pair, and that would have been better than I am in the game. And now black is slightly better, but this is not really a winning advantage. And so I let him take a pawn, which is okay. I get a pawn back, and you know, I have attacking ideas on his king side, but somewhere here I go astray. So let's haven't looked at this yet. Let's see where it is. b3. Okay, we're still even. f5 starts to give the advantage to white. What does it say? It says rook f6. Ah, yeah. So I didn't want to give up on my attacking ideas, but sometimes you have to. So rook f6 is the best way to defend. f5 starts me on a slippery slope. He plays bishop d5 check. And then rook f3, attacking my bishop. And then g4. And all these are pretty good moves, keeping the advantage for white. Now I counterattack, but my counterattack is slower than his attack, and so that's why I am losing here. He takes, and it says, what, a takes b3 is best? Or h5? The thing is, I can't prevent the f-file from opening up, because I can't advance this pawn forward. I can only take or let him advance, or let him take. So that file is getting opened up. I decided to take, thinking it might buy me a tempo, and after h6, it's mate in 5. Okay, so that's the final straw. Yeah, it's just too strong. With the bishop here, the rook already controlling the 7th rank, he just needs to double here and mate me. And the way to stop it is bishop to f6. Okay, just putting something in the way of that rook. And now white's basically just a pawn up, and will probably win in a much slower fashion. But after h6, it allows a dramatic finish where I ignore his threat for one more move, and he gets a mate in 1. But even if I hadn't ignored his threat that time, after h6, there's at least a mate in 5 that can't be stopped. So interesting game, I thought, and I like that gambit. I'm going to keep playing it. It's you don't always get the chance, but if you play the Slav defense and you see that move knight c3, then you know that that's another option for you, and it leads to interesting play and good positions for black. So most of the time you get compensation. if white knows the precise moves to play, then he can still get out of this with the normal advantage that white has in any opening, but not more than that. So you get the pawn back, and you're just playing yet another position where white has a slight edge from the opening. But there are many ways for white to go wrong, and lots of interesting possibilities for black. So seems like a good way to play. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you have any comments, leave them in the section below, and I'll see you later. Bye.